It's me, SpongeBob Experiment, with Mr. Krabs' favorite story he used to tell. It's called Jack the Seal and the Sea. Let's not trust Krabs really loves it. As a small boy, Jack was always out with his father, a fisherman, on his boat, the White Wind. He grew up surrounded by the smells of fish and the sea, and the cries of the gulls. He had never thought of being anything but a fisherman. When Jack was old enough he bought his own fishing boat. He called it the White Wind too. After the boat he had loved as a boy, he worked hard on his boat, fishing the same water his father had. Slowly though, things changed. It took Jack longer to find fish, and longer to fill his nets. The sea did not sparkle as it once had. The fish were small and sickly. Jack threw back more and more fish all the time. Many days he thought to himself, it would take a miracle to bring in a catch like I used to. Still, Jack never thought about being anything but a fisherman. One day, Jack hauled his net on board, expecting the usual catch of half-dead fish. Instead, he stared in amazement into the eyes of a little seal, who lay among the silvery marbled animals in his net. "Welcome on board the White Wind too, little guy," Jack said as he lifted the seal from the net. It was clear to Jack that there wasn't much life left in the seal. An oily film covered his fur and bits of debris were stuck to him. Jack found some old towels and used them and some fresh water to give the seal a much-needed bath. He picked out the best of his catch and offered them to his little passenger. Then he went back to his work. Slowly the seal regained his strength. By the time Jack checked on him again, he could see a bit of a sparkle in the seal's big dark eyes. "Well, my friend, now you look so much better. What shall I do with you? I bet you'd like to go back to your friends, wherever they might be." Jack looked in all directions, but for as far as he could see, there were no seals. He started up the engine and cruised along the coastline. He checked everywhere, but there were no seals in any of the places where Jack had seen them before. All afternoon, Jack searched for seals, but it was useless. There were none to be found. Jack saw garbage scattered on the beaches and garbage stolen by his boat. No wonder the seals are gone, he thought sadly. Why would they want to live in this mess? The little seal began to get restless. "What now, my friend? Could you be hungry again?" Jack brought the seal more fish. He gobbled them right up and looked around the deck for more. "More?" chuckled Jack. "Well, if you got that big an appetite, maybe you should do some fishing for yourself." Jack lifted the seal over the side of the White Wind too. It returned to the sea with a splash. With a flick of his tail, the seal disappeared under the wave and darted away. Jack watched the animal's progress and began to worry about him. Should I just let him go off alone? He thought. He'll find some other seal soon. What if he doesn't? What will happen if he doesn't? By now the seal was just a tiny dot bobbling in the waves. Jack started at the little dot, all alone in the sea. I can't let him go off like that, he decided. Jack followed the little seal. When the boat caught up with him, he had a big silvery mackerel in his mouth. It was the biggest, healthiest looking mackerel Jack had seen in a long time. The seal gobbled the fish up quickly, caught another, and then another. Jack couldn't believe how many nice big fish the seal was catching. This might be a good spot to try some fishing, Jack thought. Quickly, Jack lowered his nets into the sea. The seal was still splashing around in the water, diving under one side of the boat and popping up on the other side. Jack didn't want him to get tangled in his net again, so he lured the seal over to the boat with some fish and brought him on board. The fisherman was happy to have his small friend back on the White Wind too. Jack pulled his net through the water with his boat. When it was time to bring them in, he worked hard to pull the first net. It was very, very heavy. Maybe I've got some more seals, he thought. There were no seals in Jack's net this time, just lots and lots of big, healthy fish. More than he had caught in a very long time. Jack couldn't believe his eyes. "What luck you brought me today, little seal," he exclaimed. It was late in the day. By the time the nets were emptied, the fish store and the deck washed down. The sun was sinking in the sky and Jack was very tired. Jack decided to stay out on the water on the water for the night. He settled down on the deck with the steel by his side and thought back over his strange but happy day. As the water lapped against the side of his boat and the stars twinkled in the night sky, Jack fell asleep. The sea was calm, and a soft breeze rustled Jack's hair as he slept. Suddenly, the wind picked up, the sky darkened, and the waves grew to a frightening size. Jack's little boat was tossed in a terrible storm. A huge wave broke in front of him. The sea parted, and he heard a deep booming voice rise from the depths. "Help me, Jack! Help me as you did my little friend, the seal. I will reward you for that. Now it is time for you to come to my rescue. Look what has happened to me. Everything that's been done in me has made the fish sick. The plants can't live in me. If people are afraid to swim in me, stop living in the sea. If anyone will work together, the sea can be enjoyed for longer than any of you will live." The voice faded away. The storm stopped, and suddenly as it began, the stars twinkled in the night sky, and the soft breeze still rustled in Jack's hair. Bright morning sunshine and the cries of the gulls woke Jack from his sleep. The seal was nowhere to be found. Jack went to the rail and looked in the sea for his friend. Calm water stretched as far as he could see, but there was no trace of the little seal. He started to check his boat for damage from the storm, but stop! It was a dream, he said to himself. It had to be a dream. Jack couldn't stop thinking about his dream. He thought about it as he started up the White Wind's 2 engine, and he thought about it as he headed for port. On his way in, Jack saw bottles and bits of trash floating by his boat. He'd gotten so used to it. Being there, he had hardly noticed it anymore. Today, it kept bringing this dream back to mind. He remembered hearing all the talk about pollution. I was just like everyone else. I didn't think what happened here to our part of the sea, Jack muttered to himself. But I was wrong. We were all wrong. It has happened here, and we have to do something about it. Jack docked his boat. Later that morning, several friends were waiting nearby, keeping an eye out for him. Jack never kept his boat out all night, so when he had returned by dusk, they started worrying about him. Jack told them his story. They found it. All hard to believe, but Jack was their friend, so they helped him unload his fine catch and listened to him anyway. That night, Jack gathered the villagers together in the town school. He told them how he had rescued the seal and about the message from the sea. Some people believed the story, others didn't, but it didn't matter to them. If the sea had really spoken to Jack, it was his message that was important. They had all seen the conditions the sea was in. They knew how dirty the beaches were. The fishermen had all watched the size of their catches dwindle. It's not a fault, one man shouted. It's the big companies and those big oil tankers and ships. They dump waste in the sea. Don't blame anyone else, said Jack. We're responsible too. We have to think about what we can do to clean up our own harbor and keep it that way. There must be things we can do, one woman cried. Others agreed, and before long they had a long list of ways to clean up the sea. Letters to the government and industries and new local laws to prevent the villagers from dumping garbage in the sea were just a few. Things will get better, thought Jack as he listened to everyone. But then it came to him. The people in his village were not the only ones who needed to hear the message of the sea. It was time to stop fishing, he decided. There was something else he had to do. Now Jack sails the White Wind up and down the coast. He stops at all the towns and villages to tell his story. Sometimes he thinks about being a fisherman again, but not to everyone who hears his message and cares about what happens to the sea. The end. Night! I'll make this sea story because I bet Big Travis really loves to hear this one. It's his favorite, so give it big thumbs up and see you in Mickey Bottom.